Have MGM convinced Amazon that a Stargate TV series is more preferable than a movie? Could Amazon have changed their minds? We know how the meeting went. Welcome to SciTrek, your sci-fi TV and movie channel. So, nearly a month ago now, there was a meeting at Amazon Prime Studios over at Culver City, their main headquarters, where Jennifer Salke and a few other of the higher-up executives over at Amazon Prime invited a couple of people from MGM Plus and MGM wider community to come and basically explain to them why MGM is so convinced that Stargate should be a TV series before a movie. I told you that in this meeting, MGM put forward their 5-year plan. That plan would basically be to switch the movie into a miniseries, to then do a prime series that would run for at least 3 seasons over a 5-year period, and then do 3 individual standalone series in between those, follow it up by and having basically a conclusion of a 5-year phase with some kind of movie, whether that would be cinematic or straight to streaming. Now, in that meeting, MGM weren't arguing about storylines. They weren't telling Amazon what they thought the story should be. They were talking about a format, the way the story should be told, because at the end of the day, whoever then gets brought in to write, create, develop this series, they're the ones that will then tell us how the story goes, not executives over at MGM. So, at the time, I didn't know much about how this meeting went. But thanks to a source I haven't been able to speak to in ages that has quite a unique perspective on lots of these things going on, particularly over at the MGM side, I was able to find out a little bit more. The truth on this one is, and you can turn the video off now if you want to, and I wouldn't blame you too much. The truth of the matter is, there doesn't seem to have actually been a final decision made. Again. So how did the meeting actually go, first of all? Well, MGM brought a bunch of demographics, and one of the things they were really focusing on was the growth of MGM Plus. And this is actually an exclusive that MGM's production cost for MGM Plus has been increased by 25% by Amazon in the last few weeks. So for their budget 2024 to 2025 is seeing a 25% increase on the previous year. That is clearly significant and shows Amazon really are planning to push MGM Plus forwards as its own platform, its own streaming service, particularly in the United States, where it sees very significant growth over the next 5 years. This may lead into a plan that Amazon has in regards to, they want Amazon Prime to really be a hub where lots of other streaming platforms are delivered to the customer. They don't necessarily want Amazon Prime to be the primary place they put the television shows. They want it to be on all of these different platforms underneath it. And then they may end up offering us an Amazon Prime Plus package where you can pay one price and get all of those streaming channels in one thing. And that might even include things like Disney Plus if Amazon get their way and get the deal they want. That is Amazon's long-term plan for the platform. So increasing the popularity and putting shows like Stargate on MGM Plus is really part of the long-term strategy for the overall platform. And the executives from MGM, including Mike Wright, who's head of MGM Plus, were arguing this point very hard with the Amazon executives. They were basically saying, if you want to push the growth of MGM Plus, we need a show like Stargate. They had a bunch of data that's been generated over the last 2 years about the interest in shows like Stargate and how much it actually could push the growth of what they consider to be a smaller platform like MGM Plus. The argument was, if we can keep the cost of MGM Plus under $10 or £5 or £6 here in the UK, but we can put really big shows on like Stargate, including all of the previous stuff, Stargate SG-1, SGU, SGA, as well as films from MGM, which is another big point that they're arguing for, that actually MGM Plus is going to start getting more movies internationally as well as in the United States over the next 12 months or so, that then MGM could almost double in size over the next 18 months to 2 years. Now, at the moment, they haven't got a massive bedrock of subscribers, but anything that doubles over that smaller period would be considered a massive success for the business. Another big part of their argument, though, is actually that the sort of people that they have been told would pay for something like MGM Plus and pay for something like Stargate is the slightly older demographic. It is the 30 plus demographic. They're the people that are going to want to watch MGM for old MGM movies, for example. So they're saying a show like Stargate, where the demographic does tend to be a little older on average for people that report they want to watch this show, which makes sense because anybody born under the age of 15 didn't exist when the show was on our screens, actually means that it would fit perfectly in the overall idea for what MGM Plus wants to be in the long term anyway. So, two major arguments there. We need a show like this to grow. And more importantly, a show like this would actually fit in what we're trying to do on the whole anyway. MGM Plus executives also did talk about budget. They did say that they believe a Stargate show could be done in and around the budget of something like Billy the Kid, which is currently, I believe, $3 or $4 million an episode. They were talking about lots of ways that they would basically mirror what SG1 did. They might have one reasonably big star. I would personally consider Richard Dean Anderson a freaking legend, but he was never really an A-lister. He's not a movie star. But you would want somebody that is sort of an A-list TV star. And then the rest of the cast would be a bunch of people you have never heard of, but they would work very hard to make sure that the casting was absolutely spot on. They would be actors that you won't know, but we will fall in love with very quickly. By following the basic model of SG1, by keeping the budget reasonably small, this is a show that they were arguing would fit perfectly onto MGM Plus and actually be a catalyst for growth over several years, hence how they do a 5-year phased plan. They had a further argument, however, to say to increase the popularity of Stargate overall, because internationally, MGM Plus really isn't watched by anybody. In America, it has a reasonably good base of subscribers, but worldwide, no. So they were arguing that even though they should have MGM Plus in the United States, the rest of the world, it should be on Prime. The argument for this was twofold. Obviously, increase the homegrown MGM Plus label, but increase the popularity of the show and make it more sustainable over that 5-year period by offering it the wider audience internationally on Prime. Now, how would they do that? It would go on MGM Plus first, and it would go on Prime about a week later. That is generally what MGM were proposing. But what did Amazon think? Well, the Amazon executive did not give the MGM executives an answer there and then. They listened, they said thank you very much, and then there have been a few meetings since. But my source is reasonably close to MGM Plus's head CEO, Michael Wright. And apparently, in his opinion, Amazon is still prioritizing the cinematic movie. But the argument did get through, and they seem to think that a TV show is significantly more likely now than it was 6 weeks ago. How does this affect all of it with Stargate returning? Well, it causes more problems, to be honest, because it causes more doubt. If Amazon executives were confident about a Stargate return and just doing the movie, I think it would have been announced, or at very least, it'll be announced in the next couple of weeks. If they're not sure, and then they've got MGM executives coming in going, we've got this other idea and we can back it up with evidence. And apparently it was slideshow after slideshow after slideshow of like questionnaire results and blah, blah, blah. Then that does throw in doubt in a period in Hollywood where there's a lot of doubt anyway. Nobody really knows what the cinemas are going to do. Nobody really knows what movies will do well at the cinema and what won't. Nobody really knows what TV shows are going to succeed and what won't. So it's a very strange time for the studios. But Amazon, right now, they are focusing on getting all of the projects that they had going already before the strikes back up and running. That is going to be the main focus. They've got to get all of those things that are halfway through filming or about to start filming or whatever back up and running. That's going to take a little bit of time. And then they will make a decision on things like Stargate, and then they will focus on new projects. And I'm not just talking about Stargate there. I'm talking about several other things with MGM as well, including RoboCop, etc. Because you have to remember as well, MGM on the whole really doesn't exist anymore. It has been completely absorbed by Amazon. What's left of MGM has been completely restructured. But MGM will be doing several projects like RoboCop, etc. But my understanding is Stargate has been taken on by Amazon, and it will be far more an Amazon decision and production of what they consider to be one of the main franchises that they spent all of that money on buying from MGM. We just have to be a little more patient, however irritating that is. But guys, get into the comments, tell me what you think. I know a lot of you are getting very bored by all of this, and to be honest, me being able to see behind the curtain of Amazon is frustrating because we get to see how indecisive they seem to be. But they are planning to spend at least $100 million on the first season of this, or $200 million on a movie, and that's not a small investment, so I suppose they should really take their time. And we do want it done properly, don't we? Yeah, we want it done properly. But what do you think? Get into the comments and tell me. Do you actually think we're going to get an announcement this year? I think we will. But what you SciTrekkers think is what matters, so get into the comments. If you are new to the channel, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. It really helps us out, and you'll never miss any of our new videos. Also, you can go to patreon.com/SciTrek, where most of our new videos premiere first, and you get to see them without the adverts, and you get a free gift after 3 months. Also, go to scitrek.co.uk, which is our dedicated website where we do articles based on most of our videos, and we try to add a little bit more detail for you to digest. Go and check it out. As always, please stay safe, and I'll see you next time.